have her opponent in this race, so Chad is going to give her some questions. If there's any time at the end, we'll let you throw a question in too.
The first thing we'd like you to give us a 1-minute explanation of your candidate, kind of an elevator speech. So tell us about you.
Well, I have the elevator speech down now after about 5 months of campaigning. I'm Gina Parker. I'm from Waco, Texas. This is a statewide race. My background is in law, obviously. I'm running for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Place 3. I've been a city attorney, a prosecuting attorney, and I've been a criminal defense attorney since 1991. I've handled a number of felony cases and complex criminal litigation. In addition to my experience practicing law, I've also served as the Commissioner and Chair of the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. We regulated over 21 different industries, and for almost 8 years I heard appeals from the State Office of Administrative Hearings, ruling on hundreds of cases. So I had some quasi-judicial experience, Chad. And then in addition to that, I worked with Phyllis Schlafly, and I served as her National Judicial Reform Chairperson. And then over a period of about 30 years, I traveled throughout Texas speaking on the Constitution and how to stop judicial activism. So I've been a lecturer on the Constitution as well. And that's been really my passion. And one of the main reasons I'm running for office is I give you my word that I'm not going to legislate from the bench, but I will uphold the rule of law. And I'm very, very committed to that and very passionate about that.
How do you differentiate yourself from your opponent?
Well, first of all, I've given you have my flyers. It's got my picture on the front and there's an insert in there, and because it would take a while to explain some of it, it's called Distinctions That Matter. One of the things that's in that flyer is our basic philosophy. Conservative views are very different. My opponent is for the appointment of judges. I am not for the appointment of judges. I'm for continuing to have the people elect our judges. And that's very important because we don't want liberalism that we see. Most attorneys are more liberal in their views. Plus, we don't want a small handful of law firms influenced by corporate business making recommendations to the governor, undermining the will of the people. And certainly it's contrary to our Texas Constitution, and it violates the separation of powers. That's a huge difference. My opponent has said that that doesn't really matter, that I have that opinion. I believe when you're a statewide candidate and you're a judge, you're also a leader for the Republican Party of Texas. And our platform is for the election of judges. And we're going to be asked as judges, what is your opinion about this issue? It's a very hot issue. There's been a real push to change to appointment of judges. And so I'm going to be speaking about this, win, lose, or draw. And I'm planning on winning. That's one difference. If I might just add one other thing I think is really important. I've been both a prosecuting attorney and a defense attorney. And so I think that gives me a really broad base of experience, and it gives me a lot of, I see both sides of the issue, and it makes a really big difference, I think, and that's something that's important. Plus, the most important thing is my conservative credentials. I have a deep, deep roots in grassroots involvement since I was a teenager. I went to law school because I read Phyllis Schlafly's book, The Supremacist, and worked with her. She's been a mentor to me, and I love the Constitution, I love our Republican Party, and all of the values that we all share.
Excellent. Tell me a little bit about how you apply conservative principles to the job. You talked about Constitution. How does that apply to being a judge?
Well, I think the key is, obviously, when we're looking at the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that those are going to be the various parts of the Constitution, the separation of powers I was just talking about. When you look at my distinctions that matter, and you look at the Rick Perry case, what I didn't like about that case is that when my opponent as a sitting district court judge actually did not dismiss the indictment against Rick Perry, it was a witch hunt by the Travis County DA's office, and my opponent had the ability as a district court judge to dismiss that case against Governor Rick Perry, but he failed to do it. So the governor had the right to veto, and he had a First Amendment right to speak out about how he felt about what was happening with the DWI, that DA in Travis County received. And so there was a real separation of powers issue. There was a First Amendment right issue. There was the governor's right to veto. And so, basically Governor Perry, the term I use, he got trumped. And, as a district court judge, my opponent did not stand up against that witch hunt by the Austin Travis County DA's office. So you have to have courage to stand up on principle, to stand up for the separation of powers, and to be strong in these various areas. And so that's just one example. I could give you others, but I know we're short on time with my answers.
So what do you want to accomplish when you get into this office?
Well, I think first of all, like I said earlier, one of the most important things is I am running to be a judge. But I'm not only a judge, I am a leader as well. And I think that's important. So I want to travel and speak and inform people about what our court does. I think it would be great to be able to speak on the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And then certainly I want to uphold the rule of laws I just said, and never legislate from the bench.
Well, thank you, Gina, very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.